right, good morning, and welcome to the Sacramento City Council Law and Legislation Committee. I now call this meeting to order at 11:03 a.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Councilmember Dickinson.
Here.
Councilmember Pluckybaum.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings is expected momentarily, and Chair Maple.
I am here. Thank you. And then please rise if you are able. Rise for the opening acknowledgments in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan, the Southern Maidu, Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwin Wintu peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's contributions, history, and lives. Remain standing. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. As always, if you would like to submit a public comment, you can do so in advance. If you have any questions about how to do that, there's some signage in the back. You also have our wonderful clerk staff up the front here that you can talk with. We look forward to hearing from you. And so with that, we're going to move to the consent calendar. Any items that members have questions, comments? See Councilmember Dickinson.
Yes, I have a question or comment on an item on item 3.
All right, have at it.
Have at it, okay. I'm waiting
Floor
for you.
is yours.
I am curious, first of all, whether there's any element or plank in our legislative platform that speaks to tort reform.
I don't know if there's anything that specifically mentions tort reform. I don't have it totally memorized. I can check, but I know that there are, broader statements about economic stability of the city, those sorts of things that it would probably fall under.
Thanks. I don't recall one either offhand, and I don't have it at hand, so I can't access it. But I would express my personal concern about the city taking a position in support of this issue of so-called urgent need for comprehensive tort reform to protect California taxpayers, survivors, and essential public services. I think there certainly are elements that justify consideration in terms of civil liability, but this letter is a rather broad-sided attack, in my view, on victims, on plaintiffs' lawyers. It includes the old go-to of those greedy lawyers, in fact says are on track to profit over $500 million taxpayer dollars every year. I find that offensive and inaccurate. The idea that there should be caps on damages sound great until you're a victim. And so I don't necessarily contest whether the city can sign on to this kind of letter or not. Maybe it's justified under the platform that we adopted, although as we talked about at the outset, I'm not aware of it. But I just want to register that I personally find it something that is very contrary to what I think is appropriate for the city to be part of.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know. And then I believe, if I recall, that effort came from the California League of Cities. Is that right?
Correct.
And then myself, Councilmember Kaplan, and maybe some others had also reached out about it. So I think there might be some differing views on the council. So maybe it's something just worth bringing up to the full council, either in an email or something like that, so folks are aware about that position.
And I believe this is a request for someone to look into the issue, for there to be so once there actually was a proposal, then we would probably do a more thorough vetting. to decide if it's something that the city wants to take a position on.
Okay, sounds good. And I do know that there is a California League of Cities conference that is coming up in the end of September that I will not be at, but Councilmember Kaplan and then our city manager are both our delegates, which I believe are voting on the consent calendar at 2 p.m. And so maybe you can have some conversations with them too there. So thank you. Okay, any public comment on the consent calendar?
I have no speakers on consent.
Okay, and then do we have a motion? You have a motion? I'm happy to second, unless you want to, or do you want to?
I'll let you second.
Okay, happy to second, all right. Any abstentions or changes to votes at all related to that? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed or abstain? That passes unanimously.
Yeah, so that motion was by Pluckybaum, second by Maple, and Jennings is absent.
Thank you. And so we'll move on to our first discussion item, our rail yard special planning district. Static digital signs for large entertainment venues. Welcome.
All right. Good morning, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Matt Seitz. I'm a senior architect with Community Development. I'm presenting here minor modifications to our draft ordinance. Perfect. 15148-193F, which is the Rail Yard Special Planning District, Subdistrict 2. Large entertainment venue static digital signage, previously heard by this committee on October 14th of 2025, so almost a year now. So as shown on the screen, this is effectively affecting the paint shop, which is building number 9. So this is a summary shown for you. The First Amendment is that was changed on the previous ordinance, was a single still image per day, was to either a 5-minute change during operational periods or a 15-minute change during non-operational periods. So we also redefined this as what an operational period was. And so that came down to meaning a period that begins 3 hours before the start time of and ends 2 hours after the conclusion of an event at the large entertainment venue. That was the First Amendment to the previously agreed upon code. The Second Amendment is the operational hours. So those have been modified. The displays can operate from dawn to midnight. Previously, that was dawn till 10 p.m., Sunday through Thursday. And then we also changed for Friday and Saturday, dawn till 2 a.m. the next day instead of till midnight of the actual day. Changes were made after city staff entered additional discussions with the property owner and the operator regarding operational needs that were not presented to staff prior to the project entering the construction phase. This amendment would allow for limited static digital signage within the Sacramento Historic Shops District while continuing to project the historic integrity of the historic district and contributing resources supporting the economic development of the rail yards. Staff is requesting the Long Legislation Committee accept and forward the proposed amendments to City Council for adoption. I'm available for any questions you may have.
All right, thank you very much for the presentation. Any public comment on this item?
I have no speakers on this agenda item.
All right, any comments or questions from my colleagues? See, Councilmember Dickens. Ooh, I think we have 2 Dickinsons. I think Councilmember Pluckybaum was. 2 votes? I think Mr. Pluckybaum was first, and then we'll do Mr. Dickinson next. So first up, Phil.
Thank you.
Oh, or whoever.
I was just curious about this because, you know, I think about these electronic signs or digital displays like alongside the freeways, whether it's Cal Expo or Sac State, and those and others, maybe the city's digital billboards as well, and they rotate on what, like a minute basis?
So standard for those signs, which are standard digital billboards, is every 8 seconds. That is an industry standard.
8 seconds?
Yes.
Oh, okay. It doesn't seem that quick to me when I go by, but it does seem quick. So these are going to, during the operational part of the day, be static for 5 minutes.
Correct. During a event period, yes.
And the developer is satisfied that that's frequent enough rotation.
Yes, the whole basis of this was conversations we had with both the owner and the operator
Yeah.
on this, and that was the whole premise for the delay in this ordinance moving forward to full city council. They provided some operational items that they had finally got through after they got into construction. So they've also looked at some of their other venues and how those operations work, and the negotiated point is what you see before you today.
Okay, Matt, thank you. Is it an example or two that you have in mind of places where the operation is on this basis of a 5-minute static appearance before it rotates? Is there something that we could relate this to that you know of?
No specific example, but the purpose of the marquee is information relative to what's being presented there at that particular
Sure.
location. There is a prohibition for general advertising for hire, so they can't do advertisement, but they can present anything related to the operation. And some of this is current event, upcoming events. And one of the things they brought forward was operational messages during an event. If they need to tell the waiting crowd something, they have the ability to put it up there. It is considered static digital in that it can't move, and the change of message has to be instantaneous. And this is also just on the marquee that is on the building. There's 3 sides to the front and 2 sides to the marquee. So it's information about the event activities. And while I've got the mic, the operation hours were extended because it was beginning to be understood that with the development of the plaza there in the plaza building, that there would be people in the area when it wasn't actually ongoing, and they wanted to be able to continue to send messages to the people in that area as an economic incentive to attend events there. So we've extended the hours, and we've extended the frequencies so that they can change messages to talk about different events on a regular basis.
And these are also aligned with the ESC. Those hours are also aligned with the same hours we have for the ESC sign district.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this. Actually, when I first read it, I said, gee, is that frequent enough? But this is, to be compared to marquee signage is really what you're identifying as the comparable, essentially, right? Okay. Okay, well, if everyone's satisfied,
All right,
yeah.
Vice Chair Pluckabom.
You good? Just a quick question to add on to his question. The approval process, when someone submits a message that they want to put on, what's that process look like?
Go ahead.
So we do not oversee any of the messages that are on there. It is limited to on-site only. It's not a general advertising for hire. So it's not like a billboard where somebody could put up, Go Kings, what have you. It's everything that's related directly to that venue.
To the venue that's going on? So they control their own?
They control all of their own content. The city cannot control content. We control time, place, and manner.
And when content is deemed to be inappropriate, is there some system to monitor that? To intercede in that?
No, we're restricted by law to, it's a First Amendment right. It's
Sure.
a sign, and we control how big the sign is, where the sign is, how the sign works. But under First Amendment rights, we can't control anything that's messaged on the sign.
Sounds like we have a legal opinion on it as well.
Yes, Councilmember, we are setting the rules for what they can, when they can operate. That's the time, place, manner. But we're also, because it's a commercial enterprise, we're also restricting them to the messages related to the operation of the entertainment venue and not do general advertising for hire. But there's no process by which they say, we're about to place this, is this okay if we place this on there? If they in fact do, let's say for example, they do general advertising for hire on the signs, they'd be in violation of the code. Technically, that's a misdemeanor. So we could enforce against them for violating the code. But we're not going to be in the business of pre-approving their messages. The messages which they are allowed to put on are circumscribed by the way we're drafting this amendment to the code. It's during these hours, this is how often you can change it. It has to be related to the events at the venue itself, no general advertising for hire. So if they are in violation of those rules, that would be a violation of the city code.
Right. So I read the report and understand exactly what we're approving today. The question just came up to me last night as I was getting ready to come here today, is what happens in the event that there are messages. And so I think it's been answered as far as the legal rights that we have, but that's after the fact. And so the question is the pre-approval process for me, which is what I was really trying to get to.
Right, and we are not set up for, it's not a pre-approval thing. So
Okay.
they will
Got it.
they will be good citizens and hopefully abide the code. And if not, then we could take enforcement action against them.
Gotcha.
And quick follow-up to that, is that the case also for other billboards in the city?
Yes, exactly.
So just to amend, and please amend me if I'm incorrect, but there are decency laws within the state itself that they have to follow, and that would be continuous here as well.
Right, I mean, there would be other possible avenues for enforcement against them. For example, I heard you say, council member, if they posted something indecent on there, assuming that it violated some kind of other law, there would be other enforcement mechanisms. But we don't pre-approve any of the messages on the boards throughout the city.
No, it's literally they'll come through the process and apply for site plan design review for the sign on the building. What happens after that is all based off of what's happening at the venue. No general advertising for hire. You're welcome.
Good questions. All right, Mr. Vice Chair.
I'll move staff's recommendation with just one brief comment, which is I share Councilmember Dickinson's concerns about the frequency of the signs. Not going to try and make any, I know this is a hard-fought negotiation, but in the future, I would expect at some point we'll look at some kind of streamlining for these, just because it'll be difficult for everyone, the operators and us, to monitor these kinds of complicated code structures. And I think this is a great starting place for us to, kind of take baby steps into this. I know it's difficult to manage these competing interests, especially in historic districts. So thank you for working and wrestling with this and taking the extra time. So move staff recommendation.
And a second, I guess that, I hadn't thought about this until now, so I appreciate the line of questioning. Is the specificity around the timings, is that something that the operators wanted, or is that something that we want? Or is it somewhere in the middle? I'm just a little, it seems really specific.
Long history compacted.
You're on, you're good.
I'm on. History compacted. Digital signs are not prohibited in historic districts. So the request to have a marquee on this particular building for this operator was put the letters up on the wall, kind of hand digital. They requested that we move to an electronic digital sign, but it be fixed and not move, not rotate, not scroll, not merge, no animation. They presented a couple of locations in the country that had historic districts that had these digital signs on. We researched that and thought, okay, we can do this. It's a safety issue, it's an ease issue, but it'll look just like a hand change sign. And the original one time a day was something they were fine with. A year later, they're looking at operational issues. They realize this isn't going to be enough, and they came back to us with some recommendations for a more often change. Their original request was a lot of changes. So we talked back and forth about what the needs were, and then understood this operational messaging need to, if you've got 2,000 people standing out front, you got to tell them you're delayed by a half an hour. You're going to be able to use that to do it. So we went to a more often. What we're still didn't want to see is a constantly changing message that looks more like a billboard than a marquee. So the final timing on this was agreed to by both DRV and the operator there as to what would do well to message them and create an economic benefit for them without turning it into essentially a small billboard. So that's how we got to where we are.
Okay, that's really helpful. Yeah, now that you explain it from an operational standpoint, that makes a lot of sense, especially if you're going to a concert at the paint shop, and this just happened at the Golden One. They canceled the show 12 hours or 10 hours, 2 hours before, or, being able to get that kind of information, or something about the games. Like, there's a lot of movement of info that could be useful to patrons, but also I understand your point of view. So, okay, well, maybe something to revisit in the future, as both of you said. I'm always very cautious about adding in such a level of specificity in our code, because as we've seen over the years, and on any number of issues, we end up back here, and it takes months and months or years sometimes to fix something that maybe was an unintended consequence, or something has changed. And I just really always want us to be able to adapt, but I understand the constraints of why. Okay, with that, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Any opposed or abstain? That passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And that brings us to our final discussion item, our update on councilmember proposals heard by the Law and Legislation Committee. Ms. Williams, how are you? Good.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Amy Williams, and I'm the Chief of Staff to the City Manager. It's a pleasure to be here with you to give you your quarterly update on the council proposals that have been heard by the Law and Leg Committee. I'd like to spend a quick second reminding you a little bit about the log process, because this is a very important process to keep following up on, and it is a priority to the city manager that I track these programs, policies, and your ideas with your staff and with our staff in the city manager's office in the operations side of the house. So with that said, the proposal process starts with a council providing a proposal to the city clerk's office, whether it's a co-sponsor or an individual sponsor idea. The proposal is then reviewed by the mayor and charter officers, and then forwarded to a committee, whether it be L&L or budget and audit or any of the other standing committees. Each proposal is then entered into the council proposal log. At that point in time, that particular proposal is heard at the committee. After the committee votes and it moves forward, it then gets assigned to staff. That's where I enter. That's where the log becomes updated, because you get assigned a staff person that's going to work on this idea, and you have me to help make sure that this gets moved along as expeditiously as we can. So at this point, then, I'd like to just refer you to the log, because we have about 10 items, which is less than last time, so there is movement. I think last time we had maybe 13 items, and we've closed out since then 4. So we've seen movement. So let's just start at the top. We have a very old, but we're seeing movement. Councilmember Jennings, on your item brought forward on September of 2023 regarding a prohibition of camping citywide, and then also issues with the storage and needing for storage contract. And as of June 2026, we did bring that piece forward. So the issue of the storage contract was approved, and so part of this has been heard. Meanwhile, I've talked with the city manager as well as assistant city managers and others with regard to the overall need to look at the ordinances that pertain to the ecosystem of homelessness, and looking at our own ordinances and seeing where there's opportunities to make improvements. And so I know that staff is working on looking at the ordinances and working with the city attorney's office, and I will follow up. There will be a follow-up on that as I track with Ryan, Assistant City Manager, more on this particular project. And I know we should meet probably with your office as well to get an update on that.
And before you move on this one in particular, so this was never heard at committee, right?
That's a good question, and actually,
I don't think it ever was.
Let me, if you'll give me a second, I
No,
can
that's
probably
okay.
pull it up.
And you don't have to answer it right here. I think I know the answer, which is it wasn't.
Okay.
And I actually remember this pretty distinctly with all love and respect to my colleagues. This was kind of a controversial idea, and so I don't know if it wasn't scheduled for one reason or another, but it was not heard. And so I do have a question around that from a process standpoint, because what I heard you say just a few minutes ago was, the process is once the committee makes an action that then says, yes, staff work, and then they get to assign a staff member and then they work on it, but it looks like this has been worked on without that, which is fine, because it seems like it is really limited to just the storage piece, which is something we have to do anyway and figure out, I would assume. But I'm just curious about the rest of it. Is like, if there's something related to the rest of the proposal, wouldn't we just hear it at this committee at some point?
I think that, well, I would ask the clerk to confirm, because she might be able to look on the log right now to see if it had gotten, because we have all the proposals that come in and filed, but needless to say, I think if it's an ordinance that it would generally come back to, if it's an ordinance update or an ordinance discussion, it would come back to Law and Ledge. And I actually have it highlighted that we would, so the green, you have color copies, so the green column, so whether or not it doesn't look like it has been indicated, you're right, that it went to an initiate kind of
We do have
committee.
Councilmember Jennings here. Do you, was it ever?
Remember, it was predates.
My knowledge it has not.
Okay.
Okay, so then I think it would make sense that you would say it needs to come back to Law and Ledge, and then I would make sure.
Assuming that the two members, Jennings and Guerra, are still interested in moving this proposal forward, and of course the mayor and the city manager meet and confirm that that's something that they want to agendize, I think that would be a good next step. Just so you as a staff know, is there enough support to move this forward? Are there things that we should be looking at or thinking about from this committee? Just because that's the normal process. So I just noticed that as I was looking at this earlier, I was like, wait a minute, I don't remember seeing that.
Good catch.
So, okay.
I'll make the note of it. Right. Second page, this is a request that came in June of 2024 from Councilmember Kaplan and Vice Mayor Talamantes. Please note that the council staff contact, I need to add Monica Lee, but that's notated. The status here is that District 1 staff is connected with CDD. That was dated June 4th, but since then, as of actually yesterday, I know that District 1 has met with staff, and there is a path forward on the shopping cart ordinance. I'll just make sure that Talamantes staff and everybody's on the same page with that. So, and then I'll provide an update for the next time.
And just want to say, I think this was the other one that I also noticed didn't have an indication of whether or not it had ever come to committee. So I actually don't know this one, whether it had or not. I think it did. This one, I think I remember actually hearing this one. So just something to note.
Well, yeah, then I need to check all of them to make sure
Okay.
that they're.
Sorry,
this is
not trying to be a
right.
pain in the butt. I just,
No, it's, no.
just make
not-
it easy for us and the public to track.
Yes. The third item is amend ordinance regarding landscape requirements, and staff has been working, Greg Sundland, with District 1, which was the council member sponsor, Councilmember Kaplan, and there's some research that they're looking at to try to thread the needle to what she's trying to accomplish in her particular, in her area of concern. And the item is set to go to council when it comes back. The next item is a firearm ammunition sales item. It did come to Law and Ledge. and it was presented back in October of 2024. There's been a lot of discussions about this item, but the most recent one happened yesterday, so apologize, but it's fresh. The city attorney's office met with Councilmember Kaplan and received further direction, and they will be bringing forward, it's a city attorney's office lead on an ordinance, and it says here that Kaplan would probably be bringing that particular piece forward along with the city attorney's office. So that's create a city loan program for deed restricted. We did hear this item in June of 2026. I did not close this item out, so I'm going to leave that there for the time being.
Yeah, I think it might be worth a conversation too with the city manager and the mayor, but I think in terms of the policy, we know the next steps are going to be a ballot measure at some point, perhaps. And so I think it might be worth closing out on the log, just to take it off your plate. That's just my opinion, though. So, but I think we've moved forward on all the policy path that we can until we get to the point of a ballot measure.
Okay, thank you. The next item is from February of 2025. It's a moratorium on code enforcement and RV trailers in front yards. This is an item brought forward by Councilmember Guerra, and again, apologies, but the contact is just Phil Norton, and the other has been dropped off. But I've been in contact with Phil on all of the items that are Guerra's and kept him up to speed. And I do know that staff is working on this, and there's been dialogue back and forth. The last update I got was in June, but I will definitely have at least a couple more on that one before you see me next. The next item is regarding the ordinance in the city code relating to signage to allow digital signage in Zone B. The submit date, there's a couple of submit dates, and so I think some modifications on that one. And this one, I just bothered Marco while sitting in the audience, but he said, actually, there was a recent update provided to the city manager yesterday. I just haven't gotten my eyes on it yet, so I will definitely update the timing of all of this, so you'll have a better idea of when this is coming forward, but there is work being done. The item at the very bottom is an ordinance establishing limitations on the number of homeless shelter beds by Councilmember Pluckybaum. I will add your chief of staff. And my latest update is that there's just been ongoing communications and discussion about this, and hopefully next time I'll have something more definitive than that update. But the last page, we're looking at a declaration of emergency regarding traffic deaths, and we have been working on all the community engagement. We're wrapping that up, and so it should be wrapped up by now. So I plan on reaching back out to, and I apologize because the department lead is actually, the department lead is Megan Carter and Megan Johnson, and so that will be cleaned up on this list as well. But I will be reaching out to them to get up to date on how we're doing. And then the last item is an update to the city sidewalk repair program. This one's relatively new, April of 2026. It was heard at Law and Ledge on July 21st. It was assigned to Jennifer Donlan Wyant in the Public Works Department. I had a good conversation with her regarding how important this topic is to each council office, and I think that gave staff understanding the need to kind of move this one along. There's an eagerness to have this discussion. So with that said, this is an update this particular quarter of the log for LNL.
All right. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none. Any public comment?
I have no speakers on this agenda item.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, with that, any committees, questions, ideas, comments? Okay, seeing none. Any public comments not on the agenda?
I have no speakers for not on the agenda.
All right. With that, we are efficiently adjourned at 11:37 a.m.